Welcome to Workstyle Stories, because life changes and every life is different. This week I'm joined live by Ali Greene. Hi, Ali.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about how sometimes to fit work around life, we have to change the way we think about work. We have to make time for it in different ways, like hiking on a Wednesday or working on a Sunday. But before we get into that, Ali, would you mind just introducing yourself? Tell us where you are, who you are, and what you do.
Awesome. Of course. Hey, everyone. My name is Ali Greene. I'm joining you from a small town called Javia, Spain, which is about an hour and a half south of Valencia. For all those digital nomads out there, you might know it because there's a co-living space called Sun & Co here, which I found in my journey as a digital nomad. So pre-pandemic, I was working full-time and traveling full-time, doing that sort of Instagram life in Brazil and Japan and Amazing. Thailand, Vietnam, et cetera, et cetera. And I was doing it very fast paced. So 3 weeks per country. It was an amazing experience. I learned a lot. And obviously this past year, as life slowed down, so have I, and wound up here in one of my favorite towns in the world. I was able to travel while having lots of different professional experiences. So I have dabbled in consulting around people ops and remote education, most recently supporting an organization called Oyster, which helps remote companies hire all over the world. And I'm now currently writing a book called Remote Works with a good friend and my business partner located in Boston. So we're writing the book remotely about remote work, hoping to open the doors of doing this more effectively so more people can live a version of their life that's more exciting to them, just as I have been able to do in the past 5 years.
Fantastic. And that sounds like, very much what we're about here. And the revolution is real.
The revolution is real.
Ali, you've obviously got loads of experience of remote working, and I'm sure you're going to be able to share some of that with us. But presumably you haven't always been a digital nomad. Did you do work before that? Was there anything that kind of led you into that way of life?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I think that looking back, my desire to be a remote worker really stemmed from my university experience. So I am American born. You can probably tell by my accent. I studied in Canada and university. I also studied abroad. And you turn 18, you go to university, you get all of this freedom, all of this autonomy. It's up to you on if you're going to study for an exam or not, when you're going to complete group projects, if you're going to pull an all-nighter, or if you're going to do a little bit every day. And I learned how I got work done in that experience, and then was immediately thrown into corporate America and tech startups where we were in an office environment, so much so that it was, the cliche of how do they make you stay in the office more? There was a ball pit, there was a ping pong table, there was free snacks and drinks. And I thought about all of this, and I realized I wasn't motivated by those things. I wasn't eager to get my work done. And a lot of that work still was remotely, because as these companies grew and there were multiple offices, we were still operating by storing things in the cloud or doing virtual calls. And I just couldn't make it work for myself. I felt like there was something wrong with me, because I was a great student and I wanted to be a great worker. And I came into this office environment in my 20s, really eager and hungry to do good work. And I just couldn't do it in that environment. And I kept moving around. I worked in DC at a startup. I moved to New York for what I thought would be my dream job. It wasn't my dream job. I had to be in the office at 8 a.m. I had an hour subway commute to get there. I got to work exhausted, and I left work even more exhausted. And I knew there had to be a better way of working on things and living your life.
I couldn't agree more. This notion of going to university, so leaving school, going to university, learning how to be an adult, only to enter the workforce to then be treated like you're back at school again.
Or even worse, treated like a child. If you're not in your desk at 8 a.m., oh, is something wrong? Well, I couldn't get on the subway. I wasn't about to fight my way in to do an hour commute against all these other sweaty people. Who wants to start every day of their life like that? And then get in trouble for it. And so it was just really eye-opening for me.
Yeah. And, a lot of that as well is about the kind of hierarchy and the way in which companies operate from a sort of top-down parent-child type standpoint, which is part of the broader conversation around work style. But anyway, let's talk about that. So you realised that, decided to pursue things in your own way, became a digital nomad, and you've talked about the wonderful things that you've done since then. So what's your work style like now? Presumably you've had a bit of time to shape it into something that works pretty well.
Yeah. So in 3 words, it's managing my energy. And then once you learn how to manage your energy, managing the expectations and the energy of all of the people around you. For me, I am probably the most anti-routine person ever. As soon as I get good at routine, and this is why I was a digital nomad, as soon as I knew, oh, this is the best coffee shop to work at, or like this place has the cheapest and freshest fruits and vegetables, or this is the best like subway line to get from point A to point B, that's when I get bored. That's when I have to move on. And so for me, being someone who defines myself as the antithesis of routine and normalcy, finding ways to manage my energy and fit my work into high peaks of motivation and creativity and innovation, and then giving myself the space to step away from work in periods of fatigue has been the cornerstone of how I approach my work today.
That's incredible. So have you had to change the sort of nature of the work you do to make that possible?
Sometimes yes and sometimes no. So I think my journey to the Workstyle revolution started when I was still a full-time employee, and not only a full-time employee, but sitting on a leadership team where there were lots of stakeholders I worked with, managing a team of 5 people worldwide. And it was there that I really started to implement some of these things and get the organization and the team that I worked with to be open-minded about what it means to work. And so certain things come to mind that were specific examples that really worked for me. One was this concept of most respectful meeting times. So while I'm a huge advocate of asynchronous work, I think there's lots of benefits where you do need to come and collaborate together in person. That time does not have to be between anyone's hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., even if there's a majority of people located in one time zone. And as a digital nomad, this is something that I really push the envelope with my direct reports is, when do you feel like is a good time in your day to step away from your heads down work? At what point in time during the day do you feel energized by having conversations instead of drained by having those conversations?
And so how much of your work is dictated by the things you do outside of work then?
So, like 99%, I would say. So for me, I don't like to think about work and life separate. I think there was a huge push when people started to realize that work couldn't be the end all be all in your life. And so work-life balance became a trendy term. I don't like that because it to me, it means that you're making trade-offs and you're making choices between work and life. I much more believe that you should have work-life integration. And so for me, what that means is I schedule my me time first. The things that I can be organized with in some sort of routine is my gym schedule. I love going to boot camp and yoga, and I plan those things out. I plan out hikes that I want to do by looking at the weather forecast and figuring out the best day where I will have the views all to myself, and put those things in my calendar first. And then I go through and I put my most important meetings in first. And then I have the skeleton for the week. And from there, all of the other rules go out the window. It's like, does my energy tell me that like, I really want to go knock out 3 chapters of the book that I'm writing, or start working on our marketing strategy? Or does the energy tell me that I want to binge watch the most recent reality show I'm watching because my brain is just overwhelmed?
Perfect. You heard it here first. Go hiking when the weather's good, not because it's Saturday or Sunday. Exactly. Ali, thank you so much for sharing your Workstyle story with us. We've run out of time for now. We've been Workstyle Stories. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.